So if there's a coefficient in front, what do? Take it out front. Ooh, minus 12x. If you missed that, put that in red or highlight it or circle it. Why did it turn negative? So if you missed that, you might want to put the divide by 1 in that row above, because then your brain sees positive 12 divide by negative 1. Okay, fill in the space. Why 36? Where does that come from? Yeah, so the squared part, divide by 2 and square. How do I balance plus 36? Minus 36, except times by minus 1. Okay, so finishing off, I got that minus hanging around in front. I need a binomial squared. Offer of x minus 6. Combine the last bit. Vertex. Grabbing my red pen. Ah. The first is whatever you called x. Usually that's going to be the first number in terms of these questions. This is that max product. Question didn't ask for it, but it happens to pop out anyway. What did the question ask for? 2 numbers. So we already know the first number has to be 6. How do we find the second number? Substitute it in. 12 minus 6 also happens to be 6, and that's what we proved on this spreadsheet. The numbers are 6 and 6. Do you see the similarities to dimension? Only thing that's going to change is instead of 12, they may give you a different sum. Maybe they won't ask for the product over here. Maybe they'll ask for something else. It's the same steps every single time. Read to read number 5. Don't overthink. Don't panic. Just read it. Send it in a book. What's it about? 2 numbers. Well, that's what all these questions are about. Okay, now let's pay attention. So 2 numbers. Difference is a key word. 10. Product. Ooh, minimum this time. What numbers? I'm going to put this one beside me, but if you don't want to do that because you have a book or you don't want to waste paper, whatever you want. It's going to always start with first number. Give it a variable. We love x. Now I got to figure out something about the second number. So what is the only number in the question that they've given us? 10. What is 10? What does difference mean? Subtract. So it means we take the first, we subtract the second, and that answer has to be 10. What did we call the first number? I don't know what the second one is yet. I want to get the second number all by itself. So how do I get rid of an addition of x? Take away x. And I just like to put it in front. You don't have to. It's just the way my brain works. How do I get rid of this coefficient of -1? Because I don't want minus the second number. I want the second number. Divide by -1, divide by -1, divide by -1. Because it's got a coefficient right now of a negative. So what's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. We're good? Negative x divided by -1. Plus 10 divided by -1. If you're visual, sometimes it's helpful to highlight. There's the first number, there's the second number. This, what we did in the middle, was the equivalent of what we did with the perimeter yesterday. We used the perimeter to isolate the length, same idea here. Okay, over here we want a product. Product is still first times the second. What did we call the first number? What did we call the second number? At this point, it doesn't matter if we're doing dimensions, if we're doing number, if we're doing the third type that we're about to do in a second. What do we always do at this step? Distribute, then order it, then complete the square, then solve or get the vertex. I'll give you a couple minutes to try that on your own. Questions on any of the steps? Yep. What about this negative? Is that okay, or does that concern us? So yesterday it concerned us. What about today? Can numbers be negative? Sure they can. And the fact this one wants a product to be a minimum, so usually negative numbers are going to be a minimum. Okay, so no worry about with number questions about it being negative. What's the first number? How do we find the second number? We plug it in. What's 5 minus 10? Minus 5. Okay, so the numbers are 5 and minus 5. How are we feeling so far with number? I'm getting it. I'm kind of getting it. I'm not getting it. Only 2 rows actually put their hand up. Okay. The next one's going to be as hard as they get. First time you read it, you probably went, whoa. Okay, this is why we read once, now we read again. So what's key the second time we read, the first sentence? Oh, just to slow down, okay. Adding some product minimum. Again, the check to know if you've caught all the keywords is close your eyes or look up, whatever you prefer. I'm going to read them to you. You're going to tell me if we've got all the things we need. 2 numbers, difference 16, adding some product minimum, determine numbers. Do you feel like we have all the information? Okay. Who's a little freaked out by that second sentence? Yep, a little bit. Well, let's just carry forward our steps and we'll see where we get stuck. What would you like me to write down first? There's the offer. Agree, disagree? Okay. Now, if this bothers you to have the words, because a lot of left brains, we don't like words, is you can put a y in for here if you want. So you can have a second variable and then rearrange if your brain likes that better. Agree, disagree? Yeah, some brains, it's easy, they like to highlight the first and second. If that works for you, great. Okay, now it's not just the product now on the other side. What is it? Well, we have to add, okay, so I'm going to put an add sign, the sum and the product. Salt and pepper. What does sum mean? Add. So I'm going to add the first number and the second number. What does product mean? Multiply. So I'm going to multiply the first and the second number. All I did was translate it word for word. Add the sum plus the product, and then I did those two operations. Now we just need something on the left-hand side, so we need to pick a variable. I probably don't want to use x or s or p. If you're not sure, use m for max or min. It doesn't really matter what's on the left-hand side. Don't get too caught up in what that means. You just have to have it equal to something because it's an equation. Okay, now what do we do with all this crap? This doesn't look like anything here. What do we do? Oh, okay, how would you like to simplify? Okay, so would you like to do anything here, or maybe? Ooh, almost. 2x minus 16. And here we want to distribute to get rid of the brackets. Or a little tiny quiet x squared. A little bit louder, minus 16x. Okay, and if I simplify all that, there's the offer. Is it still quadratic? Yeah, the only thing that was different in this one was this crazy stuff up here. And we just translated directly from the question. We added the sum and the product. Okay, what do we do now? Complete the square. State the vertex. Answer the question. Go to. Complete the square, state the vertex, answer the question. Vertex. What's the first number? What's the second number? What are the two numbers? Who got it? Awesome. Now, initially my